take your kale, steam your kale separately. Kale is a dark leafy green in case you don't know. So cut it up really fine and whip it into your mashed potatoes. I know there'll be a little green in there, but he loved it, absolutely loved it. And after that, she didn't come back, took the kale every single week, was saying, oh yeah, doing well, doing well. Well, the last box pickup at the end of October, her husband came with her. He had never been out to the farm all summer long. I'm thinking, oh man, he wants to meet the woman who's making him eat kale. So he gets out of the vehicle and he walks up to me and he says, Natasha, I'm thinking, oh, here it comes. I want to talk to you about kale. Oh gosh. Do you think I could grow kale? And I said, of course you can grow kale. Do you want me to start the plants for you? He goes, no, I want to learn how to grow them and I want to plant kale. So the following year, and I kid you not, and I should have brought the pictures, they live in Harvey, just south of Marquette. They turned their entire backyard overnight into gardens, and half of it was dedicated to kale. So he grew so much kale that he came into the co-op, and he said to me, I feel like those people with zucchini. You know, they come in those cars. He said, I filled 2 freezers with kale, and now I just don't know what to do with it. So the reason that I tell you that story is because then he went on to say to me, I hated this stuff, Natasha. It was disgusting. He said, but as I ate it over time, my body started saying, wow, Martin, you feel pretty good. And this isn't bad. And then he started actually wanting his wife to cook kale and not just whip it into mashed potatoes and put it into smoothies. He actually grew to like it. Now, you're not going to grow to like every food out there. I'm not crazy. But what I'm telling you is that give your body a chance. You need to eat something more than once because otherwise you're not going to acclimate your taste buds to that. Again, one of the things that Terry Lee touched on, and I think is very, very important, and that is that it is not, again, I'm going to reiterate this a million times, it's not a diet. It's not a diet. It is a lifestyle. Whether you choose to follow a vegan lifestyle because you want to make significant health changes like Terry, maybe you do some reading on factory farming and think, I just can't contribute to a system that is this cruel to animals. Maybe you're an environmentalist that looks out there and says, we are using our rangeland to graze cattle that we then eat in environmentally devastated areas that are polluting rivers and streams. Maybe that's that for you. Or maybe it's just the ethics of it. But whatever reason brings you to a vegan lifestyle, what you'll find is the further that you read and the more that you learn, it all becomes very, very important to you. And that's what makes up a lifestyle, not just a diet. A diet is part of a lifestyle, and it reflects who you are, and it reflects what you believe. And so leave here today knowing that Terry Lee is not out there on this diet crusade. She's out there to show people that there is an abundant way to eat that's healthy, happy, good for animals, good for your health, good for the environment. So with that being said, I also want to tell you what veganism really means. And she talked a little bit about plant-strong diets or a plant-based diet. That's what I tell people. Because the word vegan, again, people kind of step back. Ooh, restrictive, scary, weird. But if you say, I follow a plant-based diet, or I have a plant-strong diet, then people ask questions like, oh, what's that? Then you have the opportunity to have a nice dialogue with someone without people being defensive. So what it means, it was coined in 1944 by a gentleman named Donald Watson, and he lived to be 101 years old. And this is what it says. Veganism is a way of living which excludes all form of exploitation of and cruelty to the animal kingdom and includes a reverence for life. That's what that means. So nobody's perfect. You know, if you drive a car and you're killing bugs, if you eat food, people plowed a field and probably field mice were killed. There's a lot of things that we do in our everyday lives. What about shoes? That's leather. What about belts? That's leather. That came from an animal. But if all of us can just simply look at what can we do to reduce harm, that's where the ticket is. That's what we can do as everyday make choices that lessen our impact on the environment and help our health. Now, I have something to talk to you about. This is probably the #1 question that's running through people's minds. Aside from where do you get your calcium? I really, really like this. And I'm sorry that it's blurry, but this right here says, protein. So you've got this family over here, and this family over here. I get asked this all the time. I have been vegan for 11 years. I don't look like I'm going to fall over. I don't feel like I'm going to fall over. I feel like I'm getting enough protein. My doctor tells me I'm getting enough protein. What happens in this country is that we live in a country of protein excess, protein obsession. Oh my gosh, what are you going to do if you don't have meat? You're not going to have any protein. There's protein in just about everything. There's even protein in potatoes. There are protein in dark leafy greens, nuts, seeds, fruits, vegetables. What happens is our bodies work really, really hard to excrete all the extra protein that we give it every day. So we are making our bodies work harder to get rid of the protein that we think we need to exist. What about a cow? An elephant? A horse? All they eat is grass or hay, or you might feed them grain. These are animals that are over 1,000 pounds, and they're pretty darn muscle. You ever watched a horse run out in a field? A gorilla. They're massive. All they eat is plants. They're getting enough protein to maintain that body. So I know that for some of you, that's kind of a shock, because we're taught from the time we're this small that you have to have protein, and the only good source of protein is meat or dairy. Calcium. What about calcium? You gotta drink milk. Strong bones. What about the milk mustache? I mean, everyone feels like if I'm not giving my child milk, then I'm not being a good mother or father. I mean, isn't that part of the American life, the American way of doing things? Well, that food pyramid and that My Plate, those were actually developed by the American Cattlemen's Beef Association and the American Cattle or Dairy Association. Both of them, they sponsor that, and they give them to the school systems. So do you think they're going to really make real small portions of that? No, they want to sell their product. So again, when it comes to calcium, if you look around the world, don't take my word for it, go to the library or to your home computer and Google this. The highest rates of osteoporosis in the entire world are in those countries that consume the highest amount of dairy products. Sweden, Denmark, the United States. We are the ones, and especially women, but some men, suffering from osteoporosis. The countries that don't have hardly any dairy products in their diets, hip fractures, osteoporosis, almost unheard of. They just don't have them. If you are worried about calcium, you're worried about bone health, what you need to be doing is weight-bearing exercise. That's what builds bone. It's when we sit and we're sedentary that our bodies start to fall apart. So if we are doing weight-bearing exercise, and I don't mean you have to go to the gym and pump iron. I mean, it can be everything from, carrying buckets of water in your garden to just basic things that you do at home, but do something. Because every time that you pick something up, that's weight-bearing exercise, and you're building up the cells in your bones. So when it comes to calcium, also, I encourage you to do your own research. Milk actually leaches calcium from your bones. It does. And so over time, think about it. Some of you may drink half gallon a day. Some of you may drink several gallons a week. Some of you may have children that just down milk. I loved milk. But again, it's because we have in our minds that that's what we need to do and that's what we should be eating. So when someone like me comes into the room and says, oh, you don't need milk to exist, I'm the one that they're sending out packing to the road. If there had been a sign outside today, barbecue and back, we'd have thousands of people, even right here in Crystal Falls, out here eating. So again, it's like anything. Why isn't the government telling us this? If this food is bad for us, why is it on the shelves? Why is this what's being promoted? Why are these the products that are being subsidized by the federal government? Big question.
There's more money in sickness than there is in health.
Here you go. Yeah. It's money. It's all about money. It's a sick care system, not a wellness system. Because if fruits and vegetables are the answer, who can profit from that except the farmer and maybe the grocer? Not a whole lot. So again, when we look at, people say to me, well, Natasha, gosh, you seem obsessed about food. And that's what you talk about and you're so excited about it. I said, you know what? That's my health care. That is my health care. I am going to invest everything I've got in food because that's going to help me later on. Is it a magic bullet? No, it's not a magic bullet. But what it is I can think to myself, I feel great now. I have the energy to keep exercising. And I'm hoping countries start eating the standard American diet, SAD, SAD, when they start eating the processed packaged foods, the going through the drive-thrus, the microwaving things, the getting away from whole foods, that's when those diseases pop up in their countries, and that's how it's happened here. You look at, the further we've gotten away from the farm, the closer we've gotten to the hospital. I mean, that's really what's happened over time. So you know what? Those diseases, I teach in the classroom all the time. I say to students, how many of you think that by the time that you're 50, that you're going to have heart disease, diabetes, or cancer? Almost every hand goes up. What does that say about our society? When we've got kids that are in high school thinking that's just inevitable, that's going to happen. It's not inevitable, and it's not just going to happen, and we have the power to change it. We have the power to change it. Whether you're 20 or 50 or 200 years old, it doesn't matter. Right now, you can make changes that will certainly help to prolong your life and at the same time, your quality of life. As you said, how many times I feel sick and tired and I don't know why. You don't want to go through life like that. And when people say, well, I feel pretty good, how do you know you couldn't feel better? How do you know that you couldn't feel amazing? So again, these are some things to think about when you're talking about a vegan lifestyle. I want to make sure that I hit on different things here. I want to talk about some of the immense benefits of going veg, and that is we have less risk for disease, which we talked about, more energy, not sluggish, better skin. You'll find that your skin, it's amazing the difference in skin, less muscle aches, a clear conscience because you're not contributing to a factory farming system. And also, here's a big one. Think of how much time, energy, and effort is put into food safety in this country, especially recently. You think about the tomato scare, you think about the spinach scare, you think about how much meat is recalled every single year, and how when in your kitchen, if you've got a turkey or a chicken, you need to cut that on a separate surface with a different knife, and you got to make sure that that's all sanitized before you put a carrot on there, and you're going through all of this stuff in your kitchen, and then when you're done with that pot roast, or you're done with the fried chicken, you're thinking, oh, as you're scraping the pans and all the grease is going everywhere, and that's a real challenge in the kitchen. When you follow a vegan lifestyle and you eat vegan foods, the cleanup in your kitchen is pretty amazing. You don't have the cross-contamination issues.
We can even use soap half the time.
I mean, you just, yeah, because it just comes right off. So again, there's these little benefits that actually are pretty big when you think about it. So we talked about protein, we talked about calcium. Another one is B12. People say, well, where do you get your B12? I would recommend that B12 be a supplement that you take. I'm not someone who takes a lot of supplements. I'm not one who says, oh, I'm going to get all my nutrition in the pill, and that's going to make my up for the bad diet that I have. We have a lot of people in society that say, if I just take this multivitamin, all of these minerals and vitamins, and I'm going to eat the way I do, everything will be okay. But that's not the case. But B12 is one of those things that mainly comes from meat. And here's the funny thing. B12 actually comes through the soil. And the reason that cattle have it inside their stomach, for example, is because they eat the soil, some of the soil, when they're eating grass. And then you're getting that B12 second hand. So again, B12, you can take it sublabally, which means under the tongue, or you can get a spray. And your body stores B12. It can store B12 for months and even years. So it's not something that I religiously take every single day. I have it on the counter, and when I think about it, I'll take some B12. Because B12 has to do with brain function, and it has to do with just general overall health. So B12 is one of them. Another one is the omega-3s. We hear a lot about fish oil, that we should be taking fish oil, and that's the best source of omega-3s. So we get a lot of 6s in canola oil, and a lot of the oils that we use. In our diets, there should be omega-3s and omega-6s, and they should be the same amount. But what we have is lots of omega-6s and not very many omega-3s. So in flaxseed, for example, and in flax oil, you've got omega-3s. But fish oil is always touted as being the best, the most significant source of omega-3s. But when you eat fish oil, you're also possibly getting the contamination from mercury and other heavy metals. You're also getting the cholesterol. You're also getting the fat from the fish. Do you not want to know where the fish get the omega-3s? Seaweed. So your of seaweed or algae. So that is possible. And most people don't even realize that because doctors usually only tell you that it comes from fish oil. Now, I always encourage people to use flax. Take a tablespoon of flax every single day, mix it in with some juice or water, throw it on top of your cereal, bake it into a muffin, whatever it is, but use flax because it also has the fiber in it, as well